Well, hello there. Thank you for clicking or tapping onto this video to join today's conversation. Let me ask you, have you ever heard of a woman being referred to as being too mannish or too masculine? More than likely, you've at least heard the term masculine because ever since COVID, we've had this explosion of masculine versus feminine energy content all over social media. And maybe, however, when you hear one of these terms, you may associate in your mind a particular image of what such a person may look like. You might associate them with being part of a particular community. However, did you know that the trait is the term rather has a broader application, and the traits can be external, the visual, the physical, but they can also be internal. So there's a lot of seemingly feminine, very beautiful women that you see all over social media and maybe in your daily lives, and yet these women are single. Could it be that they have some masculine traits that might be some masculine traits that might be sabotaging their chances at love and sabotaging their dating success? Could it be that maybe you are exhibiting some of these traits and maybe they are sabotaging you when it comes to dating? Well, if you'd like to find out what these traits are and if you are maybe doing some of these things that are hindering your chances when it comes to dating and finding love, I would like to welcome you to Always Classy and Elegant. I'm Brandy, your host, coach, and mentor, and I'm here to help you get the education, the knowledge, and the tools that you need to become your classiest, most elegant self. So, back to our topic. I mentioned that these traits can be internal and external, and this is a continuation of the next chapter in my book, Dating with Class and Elegance, and I'd like to explore this topic a little bit further with you and help you to find out if maybe you are exhibiting some of these traits that might be hindering you when it comes to dating. So, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I always like to start with level setting the what. So let's define exactly what does it mean to be masculine or mannish. A simplified definition is that these are things or traits that resemble or are associated with that of a man. So I think that's pretty simple and straightforward. It's doing mannish things or looking mannish. It's basically behavior that we would typically associate with a man. So what might some of these traits be? Well, and before I get into these traits, let me back up just a little bit and cover what does masculine energy or mannish behavior look like. In action, it basically represents doing, conquering, achieving, providing, protecting, overcoming. Basically, it entails a lot of verbs, a lot of action words, whereas femininity and feminine energy it's more still. It's not quite stationary, but it's definitely calmer. It's more reserved. It's not the doing and providing, but it's the receiving. So pretty much the opposite of masculine energy. So what are some things that you might be doing that are breaking your femininity or ruining it and therefore hindering your chances at love because maybe you're not coming across not only as feminine as would be to serve you best, but perhaps it's also ruining your class and elegance. So what are some of these things? Let me back up one more time. Before I get into that, let me just give you something of I don't want to say a warning, but a disclaimer, if you will. What I'm going to share with you is not at all meant to shame anyone or to make you feel bad if you have done or are doing any of these things. The intent is to educate you, inform you so that you have the knowledge and you are now empowered to move forward in a manner that serves you better toward achieving your goals. So, again, this is a safe space here. I do hope to grow this community, but I don't want to see people going at it with one another in the comments or thinking that anything that I share with you comes from a place of spite or toxicity, because I want you to love yourself. I want you to be happy. I want you to do the things that are going to be healthy for you and help you achieve your goals so long as they are reasonable. So, what are some of the things that you might be doing? And I want to start with the internal first, the mindset, what the mindset is, and some ways in which it might manifest. So, to start with, the first thing, number one, I have is the mindset that anything a man can do, I can do too. So you probably have heard that song from, I don't know when, I guess like 1950 or 60 something, that goes, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do or I can do anything better than you, something like that. If you've heard it, you've heard it, and you know what I mean. It comes out of the feminist movement. And essentially, why is that mindset masculine? Well, basically, it's masculine because, again, it's that doing energy, that active, and then it's competitive. So men are competitive amongst one another. They all want to be the top dog or the alpha dog in their group or their crew. They want to be the one that the others look up to. Now, it usually doesn't always happen that way, but they are always competing with each other for that position in pretty much everything. So, what might that mindset look like, or how might it manifest with a woman? One way is sleeping around, having multiple partners. I would absolutely never ever recommend that you do that. It's bad enough when a man does it, but a woman who loves and respects herself would not do that. You never want to be in the position where, "Oop, we're pregnant," and you don't know who the father is. Again, if this has happened to you, I am not shaming you. I am not downing you at all. Again, like I said, I want you to love yourself and respect yourself. And when you love and respect yourself and you really truly view your body as a temple, you're not going to do that because you realize that this is sacred space. You are God's child, and He created you to bloom and flourish, but He created you to do that, reproduce with one person. So that's what that mindset looks like. We tend to associate that with men and make it more acceptable with men. But even if you think about it, even with men, it gets to a point to where we kind of step back and say, you're nasty. I don't want to deal with you. So that's just one example of what that mindset might manifest as. Another thing is cursing. We used to really tend to associate that with men, thus the term cursing like a sailor. This was back before women were really allowed into the military in certain positions where they would be right alongside men, particularly with the Navy. However, ladies, this is going to absolutely ruin your femininity. It's not classy. It is not elegant. If you are cursing, please stop. Please stop. I'll come back to that a little bit later, but well, actually, let me take this opportunity. Visualize something with me, if you will. Visualize that you have a woman, it could be yourself or just a woman in general, anybody, and she's beautifully dressed. She's got on a beautiful dress. Her hair is just so, there's nothing out of place. Her makeup is perfectly applied. Her nails look great. Her skin looks great and it's glowing. Just everything about her is absolutely beautiful. And then she starts talking, and every other word is a curse word, or she cannot complete a sentence without dropping a curse word. And then imagine that every time she curses, she gets something on her dress. It's soiled somewhere. Imagine every time she curses, the next time her makeup gets smeared. Maybe it's her lipstick or her eye makeup. Something gets smeared. Imagine the next time she curses after that, something with her hair goes wrong, something becomes out of place. And so imagine that this keeps going and going, and she keeps cursing to the point that she's gone from this beautiful, picturesque type person that one would strive to look like to looking like a complete hot mess that nobody wants to be around, nobody wants to look at it, and no one definitely wants to hear it. Please, if you would, imagine that that's what you look like every time you curse. It ruins your looks. It ruins your femininity. There's a lot of people out there, despite what's in the music and in the media, there are a lot of people that are absolutely repelled by cursing. And most healthy masculine men cannot stand a female that curses. I would implore you, I think I've mentioned this before in one of my previous videos, but I would implore you, in fact, I just flat out beg you, stop cursing. Try it for just 2 weeks. Stop listening to the music or TV shows where they curse. Try doing that for just 2 weeks and then go back and listen to it and see how you feel about it then. More than likely, you won't be able to stomach it quite as easily as you are at the present. And if you can go 2 weeks, then do another 2 weeks. Then do another 2 weeks until you've gone months without having exposed your ears or any of your senses to foul language, whether it's something you're listening to or watching, and then there's the caption so you know that they've just dropped the F-bomb. I would encourage you to just cut it out for a while, then go back to it and see how distasteful it is. More than likely, it'll be like nails on a chalkboard for you. So let me get back on track here, back on schedule. I don't want this video to be too long. The next mindset would be, it's okay to shoot your shot at a man. So again, this is masculine because you are pursuing, you are chasing, you are the one in action. And again, that's associated with masculinity. Feminine energy is more reserved and still it's receptive. So ladies, please don't ever shoot your shot. I did a video on this not too long ago, just a few weeks ago. Take a look at it. But this never ever makes you look good. And I don't care what comedian, what dating coach on whatever platform tells you that it's okay. No, it isn't. Because it immediately not only makes you look masculine, but it makes you look desperate. And when you look desperate in front of a man, first of all, a healthy man is going to be repelled. But that toxic man, the man that's looking for someone to exploit, got her. That's immediately what he was going to think. That was a weak snap. Got her. That's what he's going to think. So don't ever shoot your shot at a man. It is totally masculine. It's aggressive. Yes, aggression is something that we associate with man. It's not appealing when a woman is aggressive. Avoid shooting your shot. And let me say this again. I said it in the last video, but I feel compelled to say this again. Ladies, if that man is not motivated or will not budge to walk across a room, or if he happens to see you at the grocery store parking lot or something, if he is not motivated enough to come approach you, there is a reason. Reason one might be he doesn't want you. Reason two might be he's actually involved with somebody else, but he enjoys looking and maybe even looking a little too hard. But whatever it is, if he doesn't come approach you, he doesn't want you bad enough. Don't go after a man that doesn't want you. It's a recipe for disaster. Let me move on, get off that soapbox and get back on schedule here. Another mindset that's masculine could be thinking that you have to match income or make closer to what he makes. And I'm not sure where this came from. I actually had it for a little bit myself, but it's crazy because a healthy man is not looking at you for what you can do for him, because he already sees the value in you, yes, if he's got any sense at all, but he's going to be looking to add to you, not what you can bring to him. A healthy masculine man is just not even going to consider that. So why is that mindset masculine though? Provider. Men are supposed to be the providers. We can go back to the biblical example, which I think I may have skipped over, but I'll come back to that. But they are supposed to be the providers. We are supposed to be the receivers. Now, we're not supposed to just squander resources and sit around and wait for everyone to bring everything to us, but it's ultimately really not our job to really have to carry the burden of things in most respects. So that mindset is a masculine mindset. And then the fourth thing I have here is thinking, okay, well, I bring this to the table, thinking that you have to bring something to the table. And ladies, if a man ever asks you, what do you bring to the table? Run, because like I said before, a healthy masculine man is not looking at what you can bring materially. He sees the value in you. He already sees what you bring to him and to his life, and then he's going to be looking to add to you. How can he make your life easier and make some things easier for you, as opposed to how you can do that for him? So don't think that you have to do that. And also, that mindset is masculine because it ties in with competition. Men are always competing with one another, as I mentioned before, as to who's going to be the top dog in the group. It's the provider mindset as well. And yeah, when it comes to the relationships, you shouldn't feel like, or dating, you shouldn't feel like you're the one that has to compete with him to win. I mean, why do you want to do that? It's not healthy. And let me back up to what I mentioned a moment ago. I keep backing up in this video, but using the Bible as an example of masculine mindsets and the type of behaviors that are masculine. When you read a lot in the First Testament, in the First Testament, the first few, actually, the first several books of the Bible. I'm in Samuel right now, and the men of Israel have been at war just about all through. They have fought so many wars. I mean, they were pretty fierce as long as they had God's approval, and he was overtaking nations for them. The other nations feared them, but they were always at war. And when you hear about an impending war, or God telling them, okay, I'm going to give you this land, go get it, it was the men that were gathered to go to duty to do the fighting. It was the men that were the shepherds and the herders. We hear about women in the field, yes, but we don't hear about women being the ones having to shepherd the actual sheep or herd cattle. Basically, it was the men. And when it came to the harvest, it was pretty much the men that we heard about going out to gather the harvest. And they were instructed to leave some around the edges, a certain amount for quite some time. I don't recall exactly what that amount was, but they were required to leave some for the widows and the poor. So that's right there. We see protecting, providing, shepherding. Also with the priesthood, they were the ones who were the Levites. The Levite men specifically were the only ones approved to be the priests and to go into the most holy of God's temple, and they were the ones commissioned to carry the ark whenever they moved around or traveled. So that's them literally carrying the physical burden, literally carrying the load. So that's where I'm basing a lot of this information off of. Now, this does not mean that women cannot step up. It does not mean that as women that sometimes we don't carry the burden, that we don't use or need to tap into some of these internal masculine mindsets and even actions, because sometimes it's out of necessity. I'm thinking of single mothers and CEOs. As a single mother, it's all on you to provide for your family, your children. Otherwise, you're homeless without food, and what mother is going to let their children be in that position? I'm also thinking of CEOs and managers. It's on them to lead their teams or organizations. So you have to tap into your masculine energy to make things happen and to provide guidance and direction and progression. So it's not a bad thing to tap into some of these mindsets or energies, but the issue comes into play. Well, I'll save that for later. But there are times that we need to have a balance of both the masculine and the feminine. And there's times that we need to tap more into the masculine than others, and times that we need to turn up that femininity a little bit more so that we've got a good balance in our lives and our interactions with people. So let me take this time to share with you a little bit more about the book, because I do go over this in greater detail in my book, Dating with Class and Elegance. And the book is based off of my personal experience and a lot of things that my fiance has taught me about men. I see a lot of questions from women and girls when it comes to dating and the opposite sex. And so I've got a lot of knowledge that I've attained over these years, and I want to share that knowledge with you because I don't want you to waste your time with relationships or dating that goes nowhere. Not relationships, I'm going to save that for later, but I don't want you to waste your time dating and it goes nowhere. I want you to be successful, and I want you to have the best possible use of your time for the best outcome. So with this book, I go over everything that I've mentioned so far in these videos, but I go over it in greater detail. And it's not just a book, it's more so a workbook, because within most of the chapters, there is a stopping point where I prompt you to take a break from reading, think about the material, think about how it applies to your life. Is there something that you need to put into action for yourself to work on? Are there things that you need to change or improve? Or just overall, what will you do when a certain situation presents itself? The whole purpose is for you to, by the end of the book, have become whole. You've healed. So I don't want to say whole, but you've healed. So you've got a healthy mindset, you're healthy mentally and emotionally. You have healthy boundaries, so you know where somebody else ends and where you begin, what you will do, what you won't do, how much of it you will or will not do, etc. You've worked on your beauty, so you are presenting yourself in the best possible way. You've learned some manners so that when you do go out on that date with a great guy and he takes you to a very nice restaurant, you know what to do. I cover that because I'm going to talk about this more when I get there in the video series, but I've heard a lot from men complaining their gripe about women not having adequate manners and some things that they have been embarrassed about. And unfortunately, I think we've been in a society for too long. It's been anything goes. And so men are missing the femininity, the elegance, and basic good manners, especially when it comes to table manners. So I go over that. So by the end of the book, you will know how to go into a restaurant, sit down, and how to properly handle your napkin, your menu, your food, everything about dining, just about. You will have considered your personal safety. So you'll have a plan in place for your safety for when you are dating. And then your presentation, I mentioned a little bit about that, but I encourage you to learn more so about what looks good on you so that you don't go out wearing someone else's size and someone else's outfit that is totally unflattering to you. I go over with you how you can learn what's going to work best for you. And of course, you will have worked on your beauty by that time. And then I also cover with you, all right, you've been talking with someone, you've gone out on a date or two, and you just don't see it going anywhere, how to end with elegance so that you're still protected, but some people are a little clingy and clammy, and it's like ego or something. You want to let go, they just don't want to let go, but I help you to do that with elegance. So check out that book. You can go to my website, alwaysclassyelegant.org, and click on the ACE store and purchase it and download a copy for yourself. So back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's talk about some external traits now, what they would look like, or could look like rather. So I'll start with gestures. There's some things that we may do with our bodies physically that can come across as mannish or masculine. One of those things could be the way we stand, like standing with your legs spread wide apart. That's not attractive. It's not becoming of a classy, elegant, feminine woman. And then also, I've seen some women standing with their pelvis forward. I'm going to try to get a picture for you, but it's just not flattering. Let's bring our legs together. Let's stand with good posture with our shoulders back and our back straight and our heads level, and bring our feet and ankles together. Showing too much skin, so very provocative, revealing dressing. So I put this under masculine gestures because, believe it or not, ladies, when you are overexposed, that is a masculine behavior. Even though you have all the parts and goods associated with a woman, showing them off is masculine because it's basically the nonverbal way of shooting your shot. And then the problem with that is anyone who sees you sees the overexposure. So then it says you're shooting your shot at everyone around. It's almost like throwing noodles at a wall to see what sticks, except you're trying to see what sticks to you, which then gives the message that you are maybe promiscuous or loose. It says that you're for the streets because you're showing it to everyone who may see you. A healthy man is not going to want that. He's going to be repelled by that. Really, ladies, honestly, if you want to date successfully, if you want to find a husband, a good man for a husband, because there's some people that will bite at that, and you need to take a look at the type of man that will bite that type of hook. But if you want a good, healthy husband, put some clothes on, cover up your flesh. I know we have a society now where, especially in the media, we see entertainers and actors and actresses. I guess they're calling themselves actors now, but we see people in the media and entertainment overexposed. You got the inner and the side and all the sheer stuff, and we have to make the distinction between entertainment world and reality. And in reality, most people don't want to see that. Any healthy, self-respecting man does not want his woman out and about showing all the world her goods. I think I've made the point there, so I'm going to move along to the next thing. Number 2 for external traits is communication. So being loud with your speech and aggressive with the tone, or aggressive with the tone, that is masculine because it projects aggression. It projects that you're either trying to protect yourself or you are trying to win someone over, win an argument. So again, we've got that spirit of competition, that spirit of winning, that spirit of conquering and overtaking. It's just not a good look. Being argumentative, that also is not a good look. Again, that looks like you are trying to win the argument or win someone over to your point of view. And even though you might be right, you may be absolutely right with whatever it is that you're saying. I encourage you to take a step back, though, and ask yourself, why do I feel like I need this person to agree with me? Do they really need to? I can be right, and I know I'm right. They might not see it now, but they will. That's at least what I think. So just take a step back. There's really no need to be argumentative. If somebody gets it, they get it. Anyway, you just need to take a step back and evaluate what is worth your energy and what is not. But certainly, please do not engage in loud, aggressive speech. That doesn't win anyone over, because instead of listening to what you are saying, they are listening to how. Let me move on to the next point. Number 4 would be in the physical. So things like hairy legs, excessive body hair, hairy legs, hairy arms, hairy armpits. Now, I understand this can be a cultural thing. In some cultures, it is acceptable. However, in Western culture, it is pretty much universally a social no-no. So take that with a grain of salt. Another thing is just having some really rough, dry, scaly, patchy skin. I know that the warmer weather is coming eventually. We wish it were here now, at least if you're in the South, but think about the times in the summer when you're out and about and you see someone in sandals and their heels look like they've got a good quarter of an inch of dry, scaly, dead skin. Nobody wants to see that. Definitely men don't want to see that. And ladies, please understand when I tell you they observe a lot more than we think they do. There's very little that they miss. So I want to take this point to again say that if I've mentioned anything here that has made you feel bad, please don't feel bad, because this isn't about shaming or making anyone feel bad. But again, it's about helping you to understand from the external perspective and from the perspective of men, so that you can have the knowledge to make some adjustments where you need to make them and be more successful when it comes to dating. Now, if you are angry with me for anything that I've said, I mean, maybe you like your hairy legs and armpits, and if that's culturally acceptable where you are, that's fine. I can take it with a grain of salt. I ask you to do the same. But if you are angry at anything that I've said, behaviorally or mindset wise, I encourage you to take a moment, step back, and explore why. Why do you feel the way that you feel? Is it that you're feeling some embarrassment or shame? And maybe you've tried to make some adjustments already, but you haven't really been able to, or you're not sure how to change. In that event, I would recommend that you get some coaching, and if needed, go ahead and talk to a licensed psychotherapist who can help you to really uncover the things that might be hidden beneath, if you will, so that you can better understand yourself and understand your triggers, and then understand why these words that are meant to be helpful for you are upsetting and triggering. Now, if you're still mad, again, why? If what you are experiencing is anger, let's take a step back and try to really evaluate our emotions to figure out, okay, why am I mad about this? Is it because I've mentioned something that you're doing and you don't want to stop doing it? If that is the case, I would like to ask you, well, why don't you want to stop doing it? Because if you are watching this video, you are likely watching this video for the reason, or if you're watching my channel, you're likely watching because you want to make some changes in your life. You want to change your life for the better. But something that I tell myself, I know change isn't easy, but something that I tell myself when it comes to needing to do something that I don't necessarily want to do, I tell myself, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And then I do it. So once again, take a step back, evaluate why you feel the way that you feel, and make some adjustments where you need to. And if nothing else, just try it and see if it benefits you. If it doesn't, okay, well then proceed as you were. But more than likely, if you employ the things that I'm telling you and tell you in the book, and we'll tell you in a lot of these videos, it's going to help you for the better. I know it helped me when I was going through, well, I'm still going through my journey, but when I first started. So the other thing I want to mention to you is I know I've gone over a lot and I'm past the time that I allotted, but I've said a lot of things, but why are these things important? Why is not being masculine as a female in a in dating, why is that important? Why do these energies matter at all? Well, they matter because think about it. Let's go with the physical, hairy legs as a woman. You have, well, not hairy legs, but as a woman, more than likely, you've got soft skin. It's nice and soft and smooth. You've shaved or done some things to remove the hair. You try to be as clean as possible, smell good, etc. Do you want to cuddle up to something that feels like you? I know I don't. And I love the way my skin feels, but I don't want to feel that in a man. I I like my man the way he is. So opposites attract. That's the whole point. And men want something that doesn't look like them. They want the opposite of them. If you don't believe me on that, watch some of these dating shows. It happens almost every time, especially when it comes to looks and skin tone. Usually they want the opposite. So if you've got a dark man, he usually wants a woman who's got lighter features. So those are a couple of reasons, but then probably the most important reason is it's outside of God's order. This isn't it's his arrangement, and this is not the way he arranged it to be. So when we go against what he has arranged, it is destined to fail. Because masculine on masculine does not work. You get a head-butting situation there pretty much every time. And if you are a female with masculine traits, essentially these are the things that can happen. You're going to attract a feminine energy man, or I think what they've termed it these days a femboy. I hope that's something I can say on YouTube, but that's what you're going to attract. And when you are the one operating in your masculine and he's in his feminine, eventually, for the most part, most women are going to tire out. You're going to get sick of being the one to have to initiate everything, make sure things get done, take the lead on everything. Let me move on. Anyway, the other thing that might happen is you may attract that guy that he really doesn't care what you're doing, if you're masculine or feminine or what, because he's really not interested in you. Anyway, you're a cover for him, or a beard. I'm not sure if I can say that on YouTube, but he basically wants to not out himself and, as they say, live in his truth. The other thing that can happen is if for whatever reason, somehow, a man with masculine energy entertains you, eventually you'll emasculate him, and that's going to make him resentful and angry. And when you have an angry man in a dating romantic situation on your hands, that right there can be enough drama to help make you end up with a full head of gray hair to begin with. And the last thing that's going to happen, which is the thing that's probably most likely to happen from the beginning, is you're just going to completely repel him. As soon as he sees that you are too masculine and you're trying to be in his place when in the dating situation or a romantic situation, he's just going to be totally repelled and will probably just leave you to go on your own way. So I hope this information helps. Again, I'll put the links for my book in the description down below. I think if I can, I'll include a quick tag or whatever they call it in the video. But I hope you find this helpful. If you have any questions, do reach out. If you need any assistance with any of these things, like maybe you want to become more feminine and you don't really know where to start or what things you should do or what's going to be right for you, please reach out for coaching. I do provide coaching services, and you can go to my website and take a look at what I offer, and you can book your coaching there. And if you've got any questions, do feel free to send me an email. And for right now, that is all for today. Keep it classy and elegant, ladies, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye. And don't forget to head over to alwaysclassyelegant.org, click on the newsletter link, and subscribe to my newsletter email list. I will never share your information or flood your inbox with a bunch of junk. I have so much to share with you, so don't forget to subscribe and like and turn on notifications. Bye.